Hello and welcome my beautiful Intentional Attention ASMR collective. Today I've got a very special video for you. Today's video is kind of a ramble, kind of a role play, and kind of a personal attention video all wrapped up into one. And I'm going to try to stay fairly consistent with this soft speaking in the background and allow the mix to work to give you the maximum amount of both tingles and comfort and enjoyment for making a meal together. Now, I've chosen to make the meal West African peanut stew. This is the same meal that we've eaten together in my leftovers for lunch videos, where I tried things like doing a quick ramble session while I was on lunch. So the reality is I love to cook for you, and I want to make you a nice and nourishing and healthy meal that is going to not only be fun to consume now, as in this present moment, but be something to where you're going to wake up a week later, a month later, a year later, and then 10 years down the line, and you're going to feel better than if you had eaten something else that was processed, something that was maybe from packaging, even though there are things from packaging in the meal that I'm making you now. But the majority of it really is fresh ingredients. And so this first ingredient that I'm putting in here is sweet potatoes. And these are sweet potatoes that are white. They're not like yams. And this is kind of the main staple, the main kind of starch that is going to be in this dish. And of course, I am peeling these for you to make them taste the best and to get as much dirt and bacteria off of it. And I thought that the peeling sound with the grater made a very interesting and possibly tingly sound. And one thing that I noticed right now was that the camera's slightly moving a little bit, and I think that that's the illusion of me moving the cutting board. Right, it's called the Art Cook is the thing that's kind of underneath it. So we're peeling this in preparation for the next step. And so the next step is going to be to take these sweet potatoes and then cut them into bite-sized pieces. And once they're into bite-sized pieces, I put them off to the side. And then if you listen very closely during the cooking section of this, which is the second half of this video, I actually put them in the microwave to get them to get a little bit softer before I put everything into the pot to let the stew bake and do its thing and boil and sort of do its thing, get its flavor. So I am one of those guys who you've probably figured out by now who likes to clean up as he goes along. Now, this is both a kind of a positive thing and sometimes possibly a negative thing. It's positive because I'm always kind of feeling like I'm one step ahead of things, but it's negative because sometimes I'll wash knives and sort of put them away and then realize that 2 steps later I really need it again. So without too much direction, I just kind of try to make these into bite-sized pieces, and so that they will cook a little easier and get a little bit softer. Because the reality is when this sort of melts into it, you're going to really, really enjoy it. And if you like things that are of a peanut butter taste, that's a little more on maybe kind of the savory side, you're going to really enjoy this. And not to give too much of this video away, but I did take this same stew to work the next day, and I did another leftovers for lunch video where on my lunch break I went out and I warmed the soup up, and then I sat down and I just kind of talked about what was on my mind. So that lends me to the question that all of us ASM artists on YouTube ask is, if there's something that you would like to learn or know about me, or you would like to hear my take on or hear my ramble about, please leave a comment below so that I can make videos that are going to be the most compelling and easiest for you to view and digest. And ultimately, as an ASM artist, I'm hoping that this is creating both relaxation and comfort at one level, and then also understanding that this is about love for humanity and each other. And that's a little bit more of a meta level, but the reality is I love to help people. And this is one way that I can help people deal with both their depression and their anxiety and really live my life's mission, which is to make the world a better place. Sometimes you'll hear that referred to as the campfire rule, making the world a better place than how you found it in the first place. And that's a good metaphor for the reason that I created this channel. Because, I mean, let's face it, these videos are a lot of work. And at the moment, I'm not measuring the success of this project by subscribers. Although if you aren't subscribed yet, I would suggest that you do subscribe so that it allows the YouTube algorithm to find the right ears for this. Now, not everybody is into and enjoys ASMR, and that's perfectly fine. But when I started experimenting with ASMR, first as a consumer and then as a creator, I really got tingles. Like, I feel tingles really primarily in two places. The first is I feel it in the small of my back, and the second place is in my toes. And I'm sure that someday there will be actual scientific tests that will determine kind of if that means something and what it means. So my small of my back and my toes. And those could be just the sensitive areas of my body at the moment. I tend to watch ASMR at the same time every day. I tend to consume a fair amount of it. Not all of it gives me tingles. So when I leave comments for other ASM artists and I say, you gave me tingles, it's a huge, huge compliment. Or I should say, at least it's intended to be that way. So let's watch me cut up a few more of these sweet potatoes. Like I said, I don't have much of a rhyme or reason to how I do it. In other words, I don't have necessarily a technique that I follow, but I do ask myself, how would it feel if these were in my mouth? Would these be too big? Would these be too small? And are we actually adding to the dish? You know, every dish and every meal truly is like a song. And if you followed my channel, you know that I'm a musician and I play out very often and I play lots of different kinds of music and that sort of thing. And there is just, you know that you know when you start playing with somebody. And that's kind of a little bit of how I feel both about ASMR and about creating meals like this, creating meals that have meaning in a way. So there you go. So there is the entire bowl of sweet potatoes cut to various shapes and sizes. And what I'm going to do is, in preparation for this, I actually am going to put those in the microwave to soften them up. And the way I do that is I put them on high for 3 minutes, and I do that 2 or 3 times, depending really on how much time I have and depending on where I am sort of in, the recipe of the meal itself. So in this particular case, I'm actually still doing prep for this, and the next prep, as you can see, is an onion. So for this particular recipe that I'm going to create for you, I'd like to use a half of a red onion. So the half that I just cut, you can't see right now, but I'm actually putting it into a reusable plastic bin. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove parts of the skin, and then I'm going to chop off the ends. I then cut up the entire red onion and put the whole thing into this wonderful West African peanut stew that I'm making for you. Now, if you want to invite someone else over to eat with us, that would be great too. But for now, this meal is for us, and I'm making it with the intention of creating something wonderful and healthy for you to enjoy. And like I said before, the idea isn't simply to create something that's only going to be necessarily vegan, or only going to be gluten-free, or only going to be a certain thing. I want to create something both tantalizing to your taste buds, that's going to make you want to eat more of it, and something that long-term is going to make you feel a lot better. And when I say better, I mean to just stay in a healthy state. Because after all, it's the average things that survive. Because average is the thing that survives. And I'm not saying that everything should be average, but by balancing out the intake of toxins and things that are bad for you with things that are good, you get a middle ground. You get a middle ground that is an average, and that allows you to be able to continue on to do the things you want to do. In fact, what do you like to do? Why don't you, in the comments, let me know what you like to do, and if there's any sort of ASMR involved around it. And regardless of if there is or isn't, let me know what you like to do in your spare time, and let's create something around it. One of the things that I love about ASMR, and the whole reason that I even became a creator in the first place, is to explore the possibility of how it can evolve. And to me, that is an amazing piece of art. When I've taken music and learned all the notes, where I've taken writing songs and lyrics and poetry and all this stuff, ASMR is this beautiful blank canvas, this wonderful place of nothing, if you will, to almost go Buddhist on it, in a sense that we can create anything that we want. So sometimes people request things like, personal attention. That's a very general and sort of generic thing. Sometimes people request things like the leftovers for lunch. That seemed to be a pretty good hit because it was just me rambling, kind of a little bit like I am now, and just figuring things out. Sometimes just talking and listening to somebody else talk allows you to find the answer that you're looking for. And half the time in my life, I don't even know that I need something until it comes along. And that's the beauty of it. The other aspect about ASMR that's proven to be immensely helpful is doing collaborations. So I will reach out to other ASMR artists that I respect, and that I really enjoy their content as a consumer first. And then I will write them, and we'll kind of maybe go back and forth a little bit, maybe start a Google Doc and send some videos back and forth. But what we create is something that is just unique to us. And that's why I feel like these ASMR videos are an expression of intimacy that is really unmatched. And I'm not saying that that's replacing anything or creating a different sort of relationship or that sort of thing. It just is, as an artist speaks to another artist, you can stand there and just know that you're knowing, you know, looking them in the eye and seeing what you can create together. So here comes that sort of that processed aspect of this that I talked about earlier when I talked about having raw food or food that was, you know, real food. These are some organic dark red kidney beans. Now, this, and I know this is giving a little bit of away, this is going to be the very last step that we actually do. So one of the last sort of 10-minute simmers are these kidney beans. So you're going to love the way these sound going in here. Not only kind of coming out of the strainer, but also the wetness, the water that I used to kind of like, you know, rinse and wash them and make sure that they were, you know, clean and perfect for use. So I'll go ahead and open this can again here. Yeah, do you like that noise? I love it. I love it. I mean, I love to be barefoot in the kitchen because it like grounds me to the cold floor, and hearing these sounds, I'm so sensitive to them, and I hear them and I think, man, I really want to share this with the Intentional Attention ASMR tribe. And that will just hit me. I'll just be like, oh, this is amazing. Like, we need to share this with each other. And that's why I love this form of expression so much. And that's why when you leave comments about these videos, it just really like inspires me and makes me want to create more, and it makes me want to do the types of videos that you enjoy. So I totally get it. I totally get it. And if you're another creator watching this and want to collaborate with me, just write me. My email's in the About section, and I would love to, you know, talk with you and figure it out. Now we're moving on to phase 2 of the video, and phase 2 is the cooking part. Now this part takes about an hour and a half, but I'm going to speed things up so that you don't need to wait. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up on medium temperature. We're going to heat up about a 1/4 cup of water and put on the lid. So here we go. I'm going to speed things up. You might see me go in and out of drawers and open the refrigerator and that sort of thing. But I am preparing, and over to the side, which you cannot see, is everything that I've prepared that is ready to go. So the first thing that's going to go in is going to be the onions, because we want to get the onions to be very soft and pliable, and we want the onions to be not the main center of the dish, but we're going to get them down to a really, so they're almost clear. I mean, that's actually kind of the idea with it. So to lay the groundwork for this, to lay the preparation for this, we have this 1/4 cup of water on medium, and we're going to open the lid here. And of course, as you can see, the steam coming out of there, I probably could have done it like maybe a minute before that, but I chose what I chose, and there we go. So we're going to put our freshly cut onions in there. And then we're going to go ahead and put the lid on, and we're going to wait for what is going to be about maybe 30 seconds on a video. But in real life, this was about 5 minutes. So here we go. Let's let those onions cook for about 5 minutes. Maybe a little longer than 30 seconds, but looks like I'm actually pretty close. And as with any good stew, this there's definitely an order of operations to do this. It's spilling over from my work in IT, but yes, an order of operations in order to make the West African peanut stew going to be the thing that's going to taste the best for you. And so now that our onions have cooked for a while, I'm continuing to prep in the background. That was actually white miso paste that I'm putting back inside the refrigerator. So taking a look at these onions, they've lost a little bit of their color. This is good. I can probably really smell them, you know, really hard. Now we're going to put in 2.5 garlic cloves that I have kind of cut down to smaller pieces, and that's going to start doing the same thing that the garlic was doing, getting rid of the color and making it more aromatic. And along with that, we're going to put in a pepper that I have de-seeded and cut into small bits. And so this too is going to be another 5 minutes of cook time, but approximately 40 minutes of video time. So again, you'll see me go back and forth. I'm going to grab a rag. I'm going to open up the dishwasher and put a few dishes in, that sort of thing. Looks like I have the ginger that is out now, and this ginger is going to be freshly grated into our next step. In fact, you can see the grater right there at the very bottom of the screen. We're going to use that in just a second here to add even more flavor to your wonderful West African peanut stew. Okay, that has had another 5 minutes there of cooking down, and as usual, the vegetables are going to get softer. I'm putting in some cumin and cayenne pepper. That's going to give it a little bit of a kick. And we're going to put in some freshly grated ginger. And this particular step calls for about 30 seconds of cook time. And the best results can be done by just kind of mixing this all together. So, and don't worry, I wash my hands. I'm very cognizant of hygiene and want to, do this for you. Really, I'm creating for you this meal that is, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of us knowing each other. It's a celebration of the ability to be together. I mean, this is amazing, and preparing fresh food and a fresh meal for someone that you care about is, really probably one of the most highest things that you can do is, caring for another human. So, okay, so we're going to let this, cook a little bit more here. And it's at this stage that really everything kind of goes in and creates the original boil. Now, what I mean by that is there's really going to be two phases now to this cooking one, and we have just passed the first one. So as you can see, I have my now softened sweet potatoes. That was the miso paste that is going in there. Okay. And now we're going to kind of mix this up. And, it may not even be a thing that creates the flavor that we're looking for, but I do like to really mix things up as much as possible during this process. Now I put in a tomato base, which is about a cup of that tomato paste, 1.5 cups of vegetable broth, and then I stir the whole thing up. And this is how it looks now. And then what I'm about ready to do is let this sit for about 40 minutes. And we're obviously not going to sit here and watch a pot boil for 40 minutes, but we are going to do it so it's very fast and that this is something that you don't have to necessarily sit around for. So it looks pretty good. I mean, this is really a good batch. I've done this recipe a handful of times. Obviously, if you've watched the leftovers for lunch videos in the past, you've seen those. And yeah, it's such a joy to be able to cook for you. So I'm going to put that lid back on, and we're going to set a little timer and just kind of let this go. So yeah, so this is my kitchen, and it's a small one. I have a very small house, but that's okay. I mean, I feel like it's kind of what I need, and let me know in the comments what you think about, I don't know, things that you like to do, philosophies that you believe in, things that you enjoy to share and to express. When I tell people I'm vegan, sometimes it's sort of as like I'm part of some secret club or something like that. And I think you know me better now to know that that's really not the case. There's no entitlement. There's no extra thing. I just don't like giving my money to big, giant corporations. And, the truth of the matter is, if I can consciously consciously make an effort to not pay money to big giant corporations that totally don't care about me, then I'm going to do it. And that's actually a big part of the reason why I've chosen to be vegan. And, when you taste this, you'll realize that, eating vegan isn't, it can be just as amazing as not, really, truth be told. And, it's not a label that I'm prepared to part with, but it's just a level of expression that I can do that is helpful. Okay, so we are now completely boiling. So I probably left that a little bit higher than I should have. I probably should have turned it to low at that stage. But now we're into phase 2. This is the second phase of the cooking phase. And in this phase, we're going to throw in the kidney beans that we drained earlier. So sitting off to the side, I've already pre-measured it, as you know. And we're going to put that in. I'm going to turn it to low, and then we're going to let this simmer for another 10 minutes. And like I said, I always like to kind of mix it up here, mix it up. What do you think of that sound? Is that too much of a mukbang sound? Is that too much of a squirrely or liquid sound? I really like it. And it's funny because I specifically said that I was barefoot in the kitchen, and in this video I'm not. So I don't really mean anything by it. I'm just trying to make an observation. So, okay, so we're going to let this go for another 10 minutes, and in this case it's going to be about 30 seconds of video. So let this cook and cook and cook. And as this cooks, why don't you in the comments below leave me your favorite meal, and I'll see if I can either make it plant-based or make it vegan. And I would love to take on that challenge. I think that'd be super fun to do. And you saw a cat there. Yeah, there is a cat that lives with me. And that might be a fun one. Or it could even be something that we used AI for. I really like doing those AI prompts and the Midjourney art thing. I seem to get a fair amount of good feedback about those. Okay, so here we go. This is the pretty close to the final product. Now, the very last thing that I do is I add in this mixture of peanut butter and vegetable broth. This is about a half a cup of vegetable broth and about a tablespoon, probably a little more because I kind of like it, of peanut butter. And this is the sort of the sauce that adds to it. Now, there's two things that I'm going to throw on that are going to really make this be like the thing that you're going to love. This is going to be the best meal of your week, if not of your month, my friend. So with this peanut stew pretty much done, everything is really soft now, and you can see that it's become very soupy. And this is going to play into how important it's going to be to serve it. So I sort of very carefully move the camera out of the way. And I'm going to dish out a couple of these. And what's going to really make this pop, are going to be what I put on top. So we're going to do raw unsalted peanuts and Negrella seeds. And this is what really gives it that West African flavor. This is a very, very, very good and sort of extra bonus thing to throw on top. There's the nuts, and you're going to see these from the leftovers from lunch video that I'm going to do next week. But these are the Negrella seeds, and they're really, really like zingy, sort of tasty. So there is your West African peanut stew, a beautiful vegan meal. Remember that I love you, and I want to thank you for allowing me to come in and have this intimate time with you. It's been a lot of fun. Take care of yourself, those you love, and if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend.